My name is Renee Fowler Hornbuckle, and I'm a little girl from Arkansas, and I've been in the great state of Texas since 1985. Grew up in a really incredible home with two loving parents who are educators and trailblazers, with 5 sisters, and I'm the baby of those 5 girls. And but there's a big gap in our generation, so I have firstborn tendencies and lastborn tendencies because I grew up as the baby, but I also grew up by myself. And so what I have been able to do over the years is really follow and pursue my dreams. And so after college and after some life issues happening, I ended up in Texas, pursued my career, ended up in corporate. Loved being in corporate America, just thought it was wonderful. Had my sights set on just busting through the glass ceiling, but sometimes life has a different direction for you. So very early on, I ended up at that time marrying my now ex-husband and pursued a career in ministry, which led me to really kind of where I am now, where I feel that I am a life transformation specialist. I'm actually able to function as a speaker and as an author, and I've been adding some blogging as well to my resume. But I get the most fulfillment when I'm actually motivating and inspiring through the platforms that I have available to me through speaking, which include motivational speaking, coaching, and also serving as a pastor and faith leader in the community. I pastor in Arlington, Texas, Destiny Pointe Christian Center, and I've had the privilege to serve that congregation after founding it 27 years ago. So I've served 27 years, believe it or not, in that area, and so it's really been incredible. I'm centrally located right there between Dallas and Fort Worth, so I tell everybody, everybody can get to me. Church Alive is worth the drive, and so it's a real honor to be entrusted with that privilege to speak to people and to really just encourage them and help them to transform their lives. I really see an incredible opportunity arising for women in religion. I started 27 years ago, very blinded and not really fully understanding oftentimes the opposition that I would face. And so I do consider myself to be one of the trailblazers and pioneers because I just didn't have enough sense to know that I wasn't accepted. I understood all the biblical resistance against women in ministry, but still with that, I really understood my positioning and my responsibility to be an oracle that delivered an encouraging message of the good news. And so I kind of evolved over the years, but I would say that in the last 10 years, I've really seen more women step into the forefront in religion, in faith, and I think it's absolutely necessary. And I think it's because people now have a more open mindset and a better understanding of the scripture. They've not taken it out of context, which most traditional mindsets tend to do, but people have really evolved in their acceptance of really what the intent of the Word of God is concerning women serving in ministry. If you read through the Bible, you'll see many opportunities where women were serving in ministry. And so I think there's more acceptance. And I see probably within the next 5 years that we're going to see some pretty incredible women that are going to arise, especially the millennials that are coming forth. And so they're getting it. They're hungry about God. They believe in their faith. They're standing for something, and they're not afraid to talk about it. So I think we're going to see even more women of faith that are arising, that are very confident in their position within the religious community. I think it's going to be exciting. Like most young women, when I graduated college and I set out in my career, I just was very insistent on reaching the top. And I just figured that would be my plight and direction that I would go, only to find out after I married a man that was in ministry that may not be the direction that God wanted for me. And so it was a very interesting transition from corporate into the church, because in all honesty, when I entered into the church, and I really kind of was forced into coming off of my job, my second daughter never took a bottle. And it was more and more challenging for me to be effective in the workplace. And then I just somehow, imagine that, got pregnant again, and I was very, very sick. And so I think that there was a message to me that I needed to transition from corporate to home, which really caused me to spiral out of kind of into a downward spiral, and I really was a bit depressed about making that move. I really didn't know what to do until I got the revelation that, hey, you know, I've left this corporate environment, and maybe if I take those same tools and apply them to the home, maybe I can develop some structure and some synergy in this environment. And I was able to do that very effectively. Then after I was able to institute that corporate structure within my home, and then my ex-husband wanted me to come into ministry, then I thought, hey, how about I just take that same corporate administrative ability and institute it into the church to bring structure to the church environment. And so that's really how I kind of made that transition from corporate into my home first by applying corporate principles and then taking them into the church, which at that time was really unheard of, because most people just thought, you know, this is a church, a religious community, this is how it runs, this is what you do. But as I was able to integrate those corporate principles into the church environment, we found that we really had a more effective church, and we were able to more effectively impact the community at a greater level because we were very strategic and very targeted in what we did. In fact, one of the first things that I did was wrote a business plan for the church, and everybody thought, what, a business plan for the church? But I said, well, you know, it's us, you know, encouraging people, but at the same time, it still is necessary for us to do it in a way that, you know, brings honor to God, but yet and still that is very orderly, because God is a God of order. So, and it worked. And so I've used that now for 27 years in ministry, and we've been very effective at what we do. I would have to say that those individuals that really have inspired me the most in my life have really been my parents. My father hailed from the hills of North Carolina, and his parents put him on a bus at 13 all by himself. I can't even imagine at 13 being put on a bus during those times and sent to a high school for boys of color in Alabama. And he started out on that campus cleaning the building to be able to pay for his tuition. And then a year later, after succeeding in the classroom, somebody took notice of him and said, hey, you know what, you're pretty smart. And they scholarshiped him. And so he was able to finish high school there all by himself without his parents, and able to get his associate's degree. And that really inspires me, and it makes me feel as though I really have a responsibility to make certain that I step up to the plate and that I make certain that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, because he paid a very precious price to make certain that me and my sisters and others could be where they are today. And so I'm motivated by that on a day-to-day basis. I don't forget about it. Always pursue wisdom. I strongly believe that if you pursue wisdom in life, then you can accomplish anything. You have to set yourself to be a lifelong learner. And I think that most often that the mistake that we make is that we think we've arrived and we think that we've achieved everything. And so for those women that are coming up behind us, always put yourself in a posture to where you are determined to be a lifelong learner. And in all you're getting, get wisdom and understanding. I have several projects that I'm now working on. I just released an ebook entitled Sustained, which is the beginning of a small series of small books that will be a part of a life empowerment series. So I'm really excited about that. I've never just gone with an ebook. I've been an author for a number of years, and so I believe in having the hard copy. In fact, if I download a book today, I'm still going to buy the book. And but I found that it's a very lucrative and welcomed format that people really want. And so that's been a bit of a challenge for me, but it's been really great. So I have a series of about 10 books that I'm working on right now that are going to be a part of that small life empowerment series. And then I have several other books that I'm working on. I also have several partnerships with other powerful women that I'm working on, and we're presenting in the near future some seminars that we hope and feel would be of great help to women in all walks of life, to help them to really understand that, you know, no matter what, you can do it, life happens, but you can go on, and we're here to share our wisdom and our life experiences with you to let you know that you're not in this alone. And so we've got some great and exciting things that are down the road, and just pray that I can have the strength to be able to get it all done. You know, I think in life that we all at some point will face situations and scenarios that we just didn't sign up for. And I certainly have had my share of those. About 10 years ago, my life and the life of my children and the life of my congregation and the community that we were called to serve with were faced with what I consider to be a horrific, traumatic scandal. And I always say that even Olivia Pope would have had difficulty handling this one and fixing this one. However, it was through that scandal, after going through humiliation, embarrassment, shame, not even sometimes even knowing how me and my children were going to make it from day to day, forced from being someone who was an icon in the community to all of a sudden having that glass tower topple over and life be shattered. After that experience, I realized I had a choice. I could either lay there and die, or I could get up and do something about it. And it was through that scandal that I learned that no matter what comes at you, you can be broken to pieces, but you still can get up from that situation and find something good out of it. But it starts with you, first of all, making a decision to get up. You got to make a decision that, you know what, this happened, and, you know, I didn't sign up for this, but at the same time, you know, what good can come out of this? I tell people all the time, don't always ask, how did I get here? Ask, how can this be used for greater good? And so in the midst of the greatest scandal of my life, when I was being stripped of everything, dignity and finances and possessions, I really found that I was able to really just get into that place of peace. And in that place of peace, I decided, you know what, I can rise above this. So I encourage people to let them know that no matter what happens in life, you can rise above it. You rise above it because you have determination. Determination to know that there's something greater that awaits me. And as long as I keep the momentum going, most people, fall prey to life happening because they lie down and they don't move, but you have to get up and get that momentum going. It may be hard, it may be difficult. There were times during my scandal and the scandal of my children where I really sometimes, the reason my motivation, hit me was because I looked at those 3 mouths and they're like, Mommy, what next? And I'm like, okay, well, let me figure it out. But that gave me determination to stay the course. And then you got to be committed to what you believe in. Even though something may happen, there's a scripture I like to use. The enemy may have meant it for evil, but God can use it for good. And I strongly believe that in every aspect of life, if there's something that happens, there's a life lesson to learn from it. Just learn the lesson and then turn it around and use it for good, because you can get up out of where you are. It's interesting you use that word survivor. I don't like it either. I tend to use the word overcomer, because surviving indicates that you just got back to the original state of where you were. And so I believe that we can overcome things rather than let life overcome us. We have to, again, make that decision and choice to overcome life. But some of the tools that I use to really get back to life, I'm a woman of faith. And so, of course, my faith is the premier thing. And with my faith, it gave me the strength and the trust and belief in God to know that He was able to strengthen me and give me exactly what I needed to rise above the situation. And so that's always the premier thing for me. And then I would have to say secondary, it's the practical things that you do. Having a support system is vitally important. People that will speak truth to you and be honest with you, that will walk with you every step of the way, is vitally important. Also, making that everyday decision that, life may have happened. I can't worry about tomorrow. I have to deal with today. Oftentimes we take on entirely too much. We try to figure it out. But when you go through a very cataclysmic life experience, for example, I cannot imagine what the Katrina individuals really were going through, because all of a sudden they were in a position where they lost everything. And in that moment, you're thankful for the fact that you have breath in your body, that you have a sound mind. And so as long as you have God and you have your ability to have breath in your body, you can start again, no matter where you are. And so you have to have an acceptance of life. When you go through crisis, I think the biggest thing for me was just accepting that I might not have everything I had before, but I've got all that I need now to start afresh and anew. And that was God and my ability to be able to step up and make the right choices and decisions. I always encourage people to try to also find some normalcy, because when you go through through life, it's difficult to find what's normal. You're faced with things that may trigger you and cause, anxiety within your body, but find some kind of normal. That was important for me and my children. And as difficult as it was after going through my own personal scandal to be out in the public eye, I still made certain that I ran carpool for them. I still made certain that I was at every activity and every game. And I just had to pull from that inner strength that I knew God had given me to say, you know what, I'm going to confidently walk into this football or this volleyball game like I'm supposed to be here and cheer my kids on. And what that did for us was gave me normalcy, and it gave my children normalcy. And so those are some of the little things. You need to eat right still. You do need to cry. Get it out. But when you come out saying, you know what, I've got rid of those tears, but I'm going to step forward and I'm going to step up and do what's required so I can get back to that quality of life. Those are just a few of the things that I always encourage people. Stand on your faith, believe that God has something greater for you, know that you still have opportunity because you're still here, find that sense of normalcy, and then really take care of yourself and then get a strong support system around you. It can be your church congregation, your girlfriends, your family. Just find somebody that believes enough in you that say, you know what, this knocked you down, but you're resilient and you're not going to break, you're going to bounce back. Well, life balance, I think, is something that we as women have tried to embrace for years. And I don't know that we'll ever figure it out. Trying to put everything on a scale and really make it balance out. Come on, let's be realistic. Is that really going to work? So what I tell people is that you have to just take life and then integrate it into the right places at the right time. And so there are times when I have to make the necessary adjustments and adaptations to accommodate the season of life where I am. When my children were younger, 10 years ago, and I was forced into being a single mom, no child support, no alimony, I knew, first of all, if I don't get up and work, nobody's going to eat and we're not going to have a place to live. And so I had to sit down with my kids and say, you know what, mommy's not going to be here quite as much because I've got to go make it work and I need you all to support me in it. So rather than just trying to find that balance at that point of life, I said, you know what, okay, this is what we're going to do. Mommy's going to work, mommy's going to support you. But I can't be at every game. I'm not going to be there. Don't have the expectation that I'm going to be at every game, but I'm going to be everywhere that I can, and I'm going to be at all the important milestones. And I think if we approach life from that perspective and we're honest with ourselves and really integrate life into a system that works for us, that will be more effective at what we do. But as long as women, as we're running around trying to find out how to balance stuff, we're going to forever be frustrated and aggravated because we're never going to balance those scales. You just have to pick and choose. I use this analogy all the time, because this is what I feel like I lived. People say, oh, it's that elephant in the room. Well, if the elephant is in the room, you can't ignore them. You've got to do something about them. But if you have a whole herd of elephants, you still have to give it some attention. So the best thing to do is to line that herd up and to deal with it one thing at a time. And so when life comes at you at that degree, you just have to integrate it, make the adjustments, the adaptations, free yourself as a woman from trying to find the balance. You'll never find it. I'm 53 years old. I'm still searching for it. I've never will find it. And I have just come to the realization that I just have to make the necessary adjustments and integrate life into workable pieces that work for me. Don't be afraid to step out and make life work and adjust, and to tell people, no, I can't be at everything, I can't do everything, I can't support everything, and you have to be comfortable with that integration, otherwise you'll be overwhelmed. So. Successfully 3 kids that I'm very proud of. The oldest just finished his MBA, my daughter just completed her first year of law school, and my youngest son is on his way to Bible college, so I'm very proud of them. Well, I've got a pretty exhaustive bucket list, and I have to say that I've kind of set it aside for the last 10 years, and I'm just now picking it back up. The thing that gives me the greatest joy every day is really making a difference in the world in which we live in. And I believe that can be expressed in so many ways. And so I think what's next for me is just finding where I fit now in life and really making a difference. I can see myself traveling the world now and really enjoying the traveling. But I think in the back of my mind, I always will be looking for what can I be doing in this new environment to give back to the world what the world has given me. So I always tend to kind of integrate everything, because if I'm traveling and I'm next to water, I'm probably going to be writing, or I may be shooting a little video and trying to just motivate and encourage someone. But, I think the thing of it is that I just enjoy life, and you have to maximize every moment that you're given. And even if life overwhelms you, you still have to find a way to bounce back and get back to what it is that God has called you to, so that you can give to the world what the world needs from you. So even within my bucket list, I'm not one of those people. I don't want to jump out of an airplane. I'm afraid of heights. I would like a long vacation. That would be really nice. Maybe 40 days of vacation in some place, but I'd probably come back with a couple of books. So, hey, that works. I see God working in women every single day. I believe that we are His finest creation, and that He has an expectation of us to rise up out of where we are to really make an impact in the world in which we live. And I encourage women all the time, be open to hearing from Him and how He wants you to give to the world, because He's put a unique ability and gifting on the inside of you, and there's somebody that's waiting for you to rise to the occasion. And so as I look around the world, I'm always encouraged by how I see God embodied in each and every one of us. And I see it the most when I see someone that steps up and takes their place, someone who knows who they are, who says, what, I have value, and because of what I'm called to do, it's not just about me, it's about what I can give to the world to make a difference. And that's how I see Him moving the most. I get really grieved at times when I see women that really don't have the value, and I believe that's why I'm so passionate about being a life transformation agent to help women, with that boldness to say, hey, you know what? You're not going to get to where you really need to be if you continue with that behavior, or you continue operating with that character, or you continue to have that kind of a mindset. Let's go to work so that we can get you to where you need to be, so you can blossom and arise as who it is that God has created you to be. When I hear the phrase the power of women, I just hear endless possibilities. And that's really where I believe that if a woman will really embrace who God created her to be and really truly know her value, if she's willing to go on that road of discovery and really determine exactly what it is that she's called to, that nothing will be withheld from her, that she can make a difference personally, with her family, with her children. If she decides to never have children, what is the unique thing that you're called to? You have power in the inside of you. You were created to do something phenomenal. And so at the end of the day, I believe that the opportunities for a woman who embraces the power that's on the inside of her is absolutely endless. I want my legacy to be one that is known as that she did everything that she could do and left this world empty. Now, on a practical standpoint, I want my legacy to be full and rich so that my children will continue in what it is that I started, that my father started, so that it perpetuates not only to their children, but even to the children which in our lineage that are not yet born. I believe that we have to be that intentional about developing our legacy. I laugh oftentimes. My kids tell me, Mom, just do you. That's who you are. But you know what I'm discovering? They're starting to kind of do me too, but it's with their flavor. And so when I look at that, I'm so encouraged because it lets me know that they get it. And so with that encouragement, I know that I'm doing something right. That started with a seed that was planted, with my dad and with my mom. And I have the opportunity to now leave that for those that are not yet born. So it's pretty exciting. But when we all leave, I want to leave this earth saying, she gave all that she could every day and she made a difference. And so I think that's rich. And it wouldn't hurt for them to have a little generational wealth along the way too, which is okay too. So that's why I work so hard, because I don't want the generations that come after me to have to struggle like so many of us before them have. I believe that if we lay that firm foundation, that we can set them up for really great things so that they will end up even doing more. I think that really gives credence to you having done a good foundational job when the next generation can do so much more. You know, I think at the end of the day, the biggest thing is that, you know, I just encourage people, you know, get up, do something. Your situation won't change if you continue to do what you're doing. And if you want the different results, you know, take a chance, take a risk. You know, you might and you might not. Who knows? But if you do, just think about all the incredible opportunity that you have. I really live by the mantra that the instruction that you follow will determine your future. And so just get up, follow some new instruction, challenge yourself, push yourself beyond your limits. You know, try something different, and you'll reach that expected end. But you got to keep moving, no matter what. As long as some momentum's going, you'll get there. Just wait your time, but at the appointed time, you'll reach that expected end.